And here's a better way of putting that. Between LSU and the Bengals, he's 7-0 in postseason games. In those, he's thrown 24 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and averages 363 yards a game. So let's bring the guys in on this thing here, and I will start, RC, with you. Again, he's your LSU guy. You were there for all this. But what is the quality? He just described it interestingly. But what he said is true of everybody. Everyone has had more reps and more film at the end of a season. Yeah. Not everyone elevates their play. What is the quality, particularly in a quarterback, that enables them to be at their best in the biggest games?
I mean, if you look at Joe Burrow, he never blinks, right? He never flinches. If you watch Joe Burrow on the sideline, whether he's being sacked 9 times against the Tennessee Titans or if he's down 21-3 to the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, he never looks panicked, right? He never is one of those guys that wears the game on his face. And I think that's what we've seen from Joe Burrow, that whenever he needs to make a play, his pulse rate is so low, right? He's so locked in that he can do whatever he needs to do in those critical football moments. And I think, you remember me, man. It was like week 2 or week 3 of 2019. They had just beaten Texas, and Paul Feinbaum was talking about Trevor Lawrence. And I said, no, this guy, Joe Burrow, is different. He has a confidence in himself that makes you believe in him. And if you think about the Cincinnati Bengals, you think about Zach Taylor, they know that they have a chance in every game because this dude will not blink, because this dude will not flinch. And I think Joe Burrow understands how important these moments are, and more than that, how much they don't come around. And so I think when you look at this Super Bowl and what they've accomplished, the Cincinnati Bengals, they know that they may not never get this time again, and Joe Burrow believes he has to capitalize.
I will make an admission to you, and on these airwaves right now, Ryan Clark, you were the first person who said that early that year, he's going to go ahead of Tua Tagovailoa in the draft. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, RC's nuts. He's out of his mind. There's no way in the world he's going to go ahead of Tua in the draft. And, of course, as usual, you were 100% right. And, Graziano, you've been around that team a good deal this year. And the degree to which he is the unquestioned leader in just his second season, it's remarkable.
It is. And a couple weeks ago when I had their playoff game against the Raiders, I asked some of his teammates, some of his veteran teammates, how does a young guy do that? Because the quarterback has to be the leader of the team. How does a guy establish himself as that kind of leader in such a short period of time? And Tyler Boyd, their wide receiver, said to me, look, it's not hard when he comes in with the same kind of chip on his shoulder that the rest of us have, when he works as hard as the rest of us do. That makes it easy for him to slip into that role. It's confidence, RC, and it's authenticity. The guy knows who he is. He's comfortable in his own skin. The stuff he says is not boasting. He truly believes it. This is a guy who, middle of last year, decided he needed to spend this past offseason, working on his arm strength, improving his arm strength. Then he tore his ACL. And I think in a lot of cases you'd have a player say, well, I have to devote my offseason to ACL where you have now. I got to scrap that plan about arm strength. He did both. And he came back with greater arm strength. He worked on body mechanics, that kind of thing. Yeah. He has a mental strength to him that I think is serving him very well and enables him to accomplish things at a high level.
Now, here he is in the Super Bowl in just his second year in one of the most dramatic turnarounds in the history of the sport. Well, thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.